teach you how to make the padding for a shipping wrap. You've already been taught how to wrap it, but you need to know how to make one. So I'm going to start at the very beginning and take measurements of this plastic horse leg. I'm using the front leg because it's actually easier to do than the hock. Getting up, turning off the computer, coming back. So bear with me, just a teaching effort. Okay, the very first thing you need to do is have a tape measure. And this horse has is on a platform. So I'm going to be measuring on this side. I'm going to measure from the bottom of the hoof to 1 inch above the middle of the knee. And on the middle of the knee on this horse is right here. It's about 18 and a half. So I'm going to make this probably 19 or 19 and a half. So that's the actual amount that I'm going to need, or the size I'm going to need. So what I'm going to do now is show you the sheet cotton. So the kind that most people use looks like this. It's called BB Satin Star 12s. And the reason why is because there's 12 of these sheets in a bag. And it used to be that they were made out of actual cotton. Now it's made out of polyester fibers, kind of like, almost like quilt batting, but it's very, very dense, and it does not compress easily, which is what you don't want, high compression. So these are 30 by 36 inches wide, and I have some already unrolled. That is what it looks like, is this when it's unrolled. And each one of these should be 30 by 36. Now the important part of this is if you take one of these out of the bundle, they're actually almost double thickness. So don't try to take them apart again, even though they will come apart. So there's one sheet. If you notice, I can take this and stretch it one way. The other way, if I turn it and stretch it, it doesn't stretch. I'm pulling pretty hard. So what you want is this part, which is the stretchy part, to go around the horse's leg. You do not want this because it won't conform as well. So you want to have each one of these be stretchy so that it's going like a rubber band. So what you're going to do is you're going to start out and you're going to take your sheet cotton and lay it on the ground or on a table or a bed or whatever works for you. And you lay it out flat and stretch it. Make it smooth. And I'm trying to use the blue background so that you can see what I'm doing a little easier. Now, if you measure this, this is the 30-inch wide, and this should be 36 inches. So it's, by the time I stretch it, it'll be 36, and it's actually, because I've stretched it this way, it's actually 31. So what you're going to do is you're going to take and measure from one cut edge, doesn't matter which, you're going to measure, I'm going to measure 19, because for some reason that half inch, it seems to grow larger. So if the measurement was 18 and a half, then you want to go with 19 or 18, so 1/2 inch less. I know it sounds crazy, but human nature being what it is, we have a tendency to make things bigger as we start to wrap. So I'm going to make this about 19, and then I'm going to fold one edge in so that it creates a, can you see that? So this measured from here to here is 20, so I have to make it a little smaller. There's 19. And you smooth it out. And it's tricky to make these smooth, but You can do it, and that's one reason why we work on a flat surface. Don't worry about the ends. What we're concerned about is that this measurement from one edge to the fold is the right length. Then you take another sheet of the cotton, and if you do separate them, don't worry about it because it's not going to make a big bunch of difference. The standard shipping wrap is approximately 12 sheets. So again, check your stretchy. And this, for some reason, this one has been rolled badly, so I'm gonna, one side is stretchy and the other side isn't. Don't ask me why. Say one side was stretchy, so I'm gonna take it apart. So now I'm working with one of the single layers, which is fine because you don't need to worry about it because you just are going to try to create the perfect density for your horse's shipping wrap. Now, I butted the edges together. You can see that. I laid it so that the two cut edges are laying next to each other, not overlapping if I can avoid it. And then I'm going to fold this up so that it meets that cut edge that's underneath. And making sure it's smooth. And then you're going to bring this piece back on itself. And now you can see why I have a tendency to make it larger. Keeping it smooth. And creating a nice edge here. And now you're in the middle. And you try to keep that smooth. And I take my another sheet, making sure it's the widthwise, stretchy widthwise, lay it down so that it butts up against that one edge. Everybody see that? Hope so. Then you fold this up so that it matches the fold down here. And fold it back again. Now the concern is that you want to be able to get this so that it's the thickness you need and be big enough to go around the horse. If you have a pony, you can see where you wouldn't need as many sheets because you wouldn't be as tall. So it's very important that you remember. Now, at this point, I don't think I have but 3 sheets down. I'm going to check to make sure I'm still at 19. And notice I do both sides. Human nature being what it is, we have a tendency to make things not always even. So, taking my next one, stretch it to make sure that it's the width I want. Lay it down, butt edges together. Try not to overlap, but you're going to end up a little bit. And then fold it again. And you keep doing this until you have the thickness you want. Now, from looking at the padding that we've used in the past, and then bring this piece back, that we have, I personally feel it should be thicker. You can always remove one once you've tried it to on the horse, but it's a lot harder than it's a lot easier to take one away than it is to add 1 or 2, especially if you've already used up your entire allotment of padding. Again, try to get those edges even. Don't worry again about this. It'll all tuck in nicely when we put it in the cheesecloth. So, I'm not going to make this as thick as it needs to be because you could get rather bored watching me fold cheesecloth. And this is best done somewhere where, not in the barn, let's say, where little bits of debris and things can get in the padding. It might have to be there, but for the most part, it should be done somewhere where it's not windy and where it's a calm day and you have the patience and the time to do this. Okay. Now, I think that for now, I didn't count. You can go back and watch this, I guess, and count how many I put in. But these, this isn't very many. But again, I think you get the point. Now, this one ended up almost pinned to the edge, so that's a good place to stop. But I think you understand the concept of having everything smooth, having nothing overlap as much as you can. I'm not too worried about the bottom, it's the middle and the top, because it's the middle that's important to have it be even. So now you have your padding, you can feel it, and you can check it, and you can pretty well tell that this one is, if I compress it, it's probably about 1/2 inch thick, and that's not enough. So you need to add more until it's a good thickness. And what I taught at the clinic, using that padding, it wasn't even very thick, and that was a very inappropriate size padding for that pony, but I did the best I could. Now, when we have the cheesecloth, this is the cheesecloth. I get mine at Walmart because it's probably the cheapest, but you can get it at Joann's. You can get it at hardware stores. I don't think it's any cheaper anywhere else. But the padding is about $12 a roll, and you could use the Warm and Natural, or you can use the Polar Fleece. The problem is, once it's been cut, it cannot be reused. This, unless the horse has really bad diarrhea or has gotten it wet, it can be reused. You can take the cheesecloth off and reuse it to create a different size bandage or a thicker bandage, or you can create a thinner bandage. That is one reason why at a rally we like to have the BB Star Cotton as the padding of choice in your required equipment, because you can use it to make a shipping or a stable. But it's purely a matter of choice whether you do. Some people like this for the shipping and then like using just regular wraps for a standing. So on the cheesecloth, I'm going to open this up and show you this cheesecloth. It's pretty flimsy. It seems that as the years go by, cheesecloth has gotten cheesier and cheesier. And I mean that thinner and thinner. It looks thick right now. You can barely see through it, okay? But that is one of like 4 layers. What I do is I take and measure this out so that I have more than enough. Cheesecloth isn't that expensive. I like to make sure I have enough padding or enough cheesecloth to cover the whole pad. So I add almost the whole width, but not quite. So if you see this, okay, so I leave out a section. So I just cut it off, and then you'll see that when I open this up, it is far thinner than you anticipate. It's very thin, and it's difficult to work with in as much as it is so flimsy. And this is one more. And you can see how flimsy it is and why you don't do this on a windy day. It's almost like cobwebbing. Now, you can use t-shirt knit, very thin t-shirt knit, and if your mom sews up one side, makes almost like a pillowcase, then you can slide it in, and then you can spray adhesive it, which I'll show you in a minute. ends closed, and that's a washable. That keeps it cleaner because it's not so thin, and it's pretty. I've seen it used very effectively at ratings. So I'm laying this out so that I have enough. And remember, this is thinner, so it's not going to go as far. I'm going to try to center this a little bit better. This is not stuff that's convenient to work with. Keep everything flat so that you have it, no lumps, no bumps. Everything is okay. Now, sometimes it takes two people to do this, but you can see I've got this pretty well centered. Then I take it and I hold it and I flip it so that you have the cheesecloth pretty well, and then I tuck it in so it's you're working it from the wrong side or the outside. So some people like the cheesecloth going the other way. It's purely up to you. Don't be frugal on the cheesecloth. It's too inexpensive to worry about. Now this one didn't meet, so hopefully this stuff here will be long enough to come to the middle. If not, then I'm going to have to cut another piece. So let's see, I tuck it in like a package, and then I bring it across. So, like a Christmas package. And you can always cut off excess. Now here is where I have a tendency to kind of pull this in because I want to be able to get it nice, even fold here so that it's a nice edge. Now move over to the other side and hope that I wasn't too stingy with my cheesecloth. Another square corner and bring it in. And it looks like I was, but I'm not going to cut another one. So next time you do one, Nancy, you'll cut it a little longer. It actually meets just in the middle because I've tucked this stuff in so that it matches or meets up. So there we have it. Now, I'm not going to spray it in the house because if I do, it will create a problem with my husband because he doesn't like the smell of caustic things. But I wanted to show you some different types of spray adhesive, and I'm hoping that my camera did not go dark when it's videotaping, because if it did, then it's going to not look very good. So I particularly like the spray adhesive that I get from fabric stores such as Joann's, and I have a specialty store that does a lot of embroidery. This is, they all are going to stink. Some of them are going to be worse than others. This one has a toluene in it, which is going to be very smelly. This one is, let's see, can't see where it says, contains, this one's probably a little bit better. I try to look for ones that say, you know, not odorless, colorless, stainless, acid-free, and contains no fluorocarbons. The problem is that the more that they can do, the more expensive they are. This can is a Dritz spray adhesive, and it usually is used for holding appliques or type of temporary stuff on it. This one is called Sprayway, and it's it doesn't say that it's a very good one, and that's why it's almost full. This one I got at Joann's, and it excuse me, I got it at Walmart. And this one is multi-purpose, and it has no fluorocarbons, no lead, and and no acetones or acetates. So it does have, it has acetone, but not acetates. Um, they're all very flammable, and they can be very bad for you if you smell them. So you may have to do this part in the garage or outside. So you take it and you lift up just the edges, spray it, spray it, and then it'll hold. You try to put newspapers or something underneath it so that it will keep it from being sticky on your floor. So that's your padding, and then you can roll it. I keep them rolled. I like to roll it the direction it's going to go on the horse's leg, which is, see, you can see now that this is a little short. If I'd sprayed it, it'd been fine, and if I'd cut it a little longer. So this part would roll, and I would keep it, and I tie it with a big fat ribbon, and there's your padding, and it's ready.